Hello everyone, hey, this is Olamide Akinola. This is the founder of Tell Your Story TV. Thank you so much for you guys' feedback. I'm really happy about your feedbacks. Thank you. Feedbacks are really important to us. If you haven't followed Tell Your Story TV, you can follow us on Twitter at Tell Your Story TV, and on IG. We are really active on IG at tellyourstory.tv. Then you can like our Facebook page at Tell Your Story TV. All those information you will see it on the screen. Thank you so much. The projects for those people that like this is your first time watching this one of our episodes. Project is all about sharing international students, people that were once international students, sharing their stories, their journey, and how they have been able to overcome different challenges that they have faced. So it's been an amazing journey so far. Honestly, I have heard stories of different people telling different things about how they were able to they faced a particular challenge and how they were able to solve that. And I believe these stories are very important to people that are aspiring to travel abroad for studies, or also people that are currently studying in different parts of the world, especially United States, or let's say even Canada or UK. It's very important that they learn from people that have been there, and see how they can apply those things they've said into their current situation. However, today's episode is very special to me because I have an amazing person. I've been trying to get her on this program for a while right now, and I'm finally be able to get her on the show. She's very important here to me. She's a friend of a friend. She's also my friend too. Like, I can remember the very first time she sent me a LinkedIn connection. I think that was 2019, or I think it's 2019 or so. We were about to go to NESB conference, and I started watching her, seeing her journey, and lucky for me, I found that she's a friend of my other friend, Blessing Adogame, who is one of the co-founders of Student of LinkedIn, and funny enough, she's also a co-founder of Student of LinkedIn. So without further ado, let me introduce my guest to you. Her name is Ledornubari. I know I butchered that name, but I think her short form is Ledo, and she will short name. I think people call her Ledo. So yes, so she will introduce herself, but anyway, but I know she will forgive me for butchering her name. Yes, Ledo, do you want to introduce yourself right now?
Sure. Well, first of all, I forgive you. It's okay. Well, hello everyone. Hello viewers. My name is Ledornubari Nwilene. I am a rising junior at Drexel University, studying computer and security technology. I am also an international student from Nigeria, the best country ever. I like to describe myself as a multi-potentialite because I believe I am a woman of many different interests.
Wow.
So within technology, my interests are in product management and cybersecurity. Outside of that, I'm very passionate about diversity and inclusion. I'm passionate about really empowering students to maximize their potential. I'm also very passionate about using technology for social good and economic development. I have previously interned at JP Morgan and have completed several programs with some companies such as Google, Deloitte, McKinsey, and Goldman Sachs, just to name a few. My goal is really just to use my giftings, my experiences to really help students just really get to where they need to be, international students and other students as well. So I'm very glad to be here.
Wow.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, so you have an interesting profile anyway. Leto is she's an amazing person, honestly. Sometimes when I say someone is amazing, I'm not just using the word amazing. I'm using the word amazing intentionally because I checked her out. She inspires me. Inspires me. And do you know one thing? She's still an international student right now. So that's one caveat to that. I know I've been bringing people that have graduated maybe from undergrad or grad studying abroad, but today I'm bringing in someone that's currently an international student, and the reason is this, because today's episode is very important. We're going to be talking about scholarships, like how do I get scholarships. Like we've been talking about financial difficulties in our previous episode, how people are able to handle different financial difficulties, but Ledo, she's one good example of how she's able to, while in school, gather scholarships. I don't think, and she will share her story. I'm not sure if she came to the country to my program undergrad at Drexel as with scholarships, but she's able to get scholarship from different companies, and she's going to be sharing us insight on how she was able to do that. So definitely, this is an amazing person who, it doesn't matter how she was able to get here, she's still trying to get scholarships from different companies to help her in studies, because most of international students, one of critical issues is financial challenges. And one of the reasons why this is very important is, like, many of us come here maybe because we have an idea of, oh, this is the sponsor that this person is going to sponsor us. But at the end of the day, maybe something happened and this our sponsor is nowhere to find, or the sponsor could not sponsor us again. So she will be helping us to, talk. She'll be talking on how we're going to get scholarships. But I don't want to, take everything out of the bag, right now. I will want us to, gradually delve into it, and she will be explaining that. But over to you, Ledo. You didn't talk about Student of LinkedIn, like co-founder of Student of LinkedIn. How did it all come about? I want you to talk about it a little bit.
Sure. So sorry for not adding that. I was going to, it actually was in my notes. Sure. So yeah, Students of LinkedIn. So Students of LinkedIn, first of all, is a community with a mission to educate, encourage, and expose students to leverage the platform. So this community really started initially with Blessing. It was just a hashtag that she kind of thought of and was using very frequently in her posts on LinkedIn. And so this was around, I would say 2018. But for me, so September 2018 was actually the start of my sophomore year. Yeah. And my freshman year, I would just say, I was just not content with the way it had gone. Like, yes, it was like a very, and I'll talk more about that later on.
Yeah.
But it was a very, it was like, what's the word? A very, let me just try to find my feet kind of year, right? So I was not really stretching myself the way I knew I could. One thing I knew was I really wanted, so going into my sophomore year, one of my main goals was to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to step out of my comfort zone. Now, those people that know me know that I used to be incredibly shy in high school. I really struggled to talk to people. I struggled to just have conversations, right? So, but again, I knew that, okay, being an international student, and going to a school that was not readily the cheapest school, I knew I had to do something. Like, I can't just be going to classes and coming back. There had to be more. I think that was my mindset. There had to be more. And for me, it was a quest to find out what that more was, right? So I started going to like just events on campus, and that was actually how I went to one event that Blessing was speaking at. I think I didn't go because she was speaking. I just wanted to go because the topic was very interesting, and that was personal branding through LinkedIn. Right. Yeah. So I just, went there. For me, I thought, okay, it was just another conference or another event on campus I'm going for, not knowing how transformative that experience would be. Because I think how the way I described that event was, it wasn't just inspiring, it really moved me to take action. I think many people just say, I'm inspired, but not many people take that extra step to take that action, right? Yeah. But that was the difference with this event. So I was like, wow, wait, if this girl that's almost we're almost age mates, she was a year above me, but I was like, wow, if this is how LinkedIn could help her, maybe this is my answer. Wow. So that was basically how we I think after the event I took a picture with her, and the goal was, okay, this is going to be my first LinkedIn post, like I'll talk about this event I went to. And so I literally just did that. But I think one thing I would mention is it didn't happen right away. Like, it wasn't immediately I got home that I made that post. I think I even struggled with it for the first maybe 1 or 2 weeks, right, before I really just stop being scared, stop being shy, and just put that content out there.
Yeah.
And then I just continued doing that. I was just sharing things I was, maybe like events I went to on campus, how I was feeling, just my college experience. And I think Blessing noticed it, I guess. And I think some, like, maybe a month or two later, she was like, oh, hey, I really want to like scale students of LinkedIn. I
Yeah.
really like love how engaged you've been, even though you just like maybe got introduced to this like a month or two ago. I really would love to, like, I guess, start this journey with you.
Yeah.
And that was really how it started, alongside our third co-founder, Charles Arde. So that
Yeah.
was really how that process was. And so we officially launched January of 2019. So I would say from October to like December was like planning.
Yeah.
But we officially launched January 2019. So yeah, that's the story of just students of LinkedIn.
That's great. That's great. Blessing is a friend of mine, very good friend of mine. She's an amazing person. Like she's super
Yes.
amazing. She's an angel.
Yes, yes.
She's everything. And I know later we agree with me. Because, shout out to Blessing. Yes, I want us to talk about we're going to go to personal branding later on. We're going to go to personal branding, but I want us to talk about how your process of moving abroad it was like. Did you do SAT? Did you do what did you do actually? Or no? I know. Yeah, just talk about that.
Yeah, sure. No, definitely. I can definitely talk about that. So, I would say the process for me was pretty straightforward.
Okay.
And that was because I was already attending an American high school back in Nigeria.
Oh,
So I was
yeah.
already very familiar with, SATs, APs. It was not compulsory, but you had that option of taking an AP class if you wanted to. I even took like some college credits as well. I was taking dual credit classes, which were basically courses offered by colleges already in the US. So I was already familiar with the process, and then Common App,
Wow.
which is how you submit your application. So I
That's
really
good.
think my school really did like a good job of helping us through that process, right?
Preparing you for
the
that.
one thing,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, I took my CTs as well. And funny enough, my school was actually a testing center, so it was like I would always see like many students. It's funny because I joke about it now, but I feel like some of the students that I eventually have met here in the US, who are also international students, talk about how they've taken SAT, and they kind of like mention like my school. I'm like, wow, what if? So that means we probably met but didn't know that we'll meet again in future.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I think that process was very, very straightforward. But I would say the one thing that I wish my school did more, or that I was well versed on, was the financial aspects of things, like how do you actually get money. I think a lot of the focus was on just getting into school, but not really on how to be sustained in school, right? Like financially. So that was one thing and I didn't really have like cousins. I didn't really have like just family that was already in, like, that I could learn from, right?
I got
And
you.
honestly, at that time, LinkedIn was not even in my dictionary, so it wasn't like I could use LinkedIn to find people to connect with, right? So I guess at that time I was still very like reserved, right? So the much that I knew, I wasn't like, I didn't really know how to find like opportunities and like find scholarships. So I think that's that's how I would describe like the process of.
So definitely
coming
your high
aboard.
school really played a lot in
Yes, they
your
did.
coming in, and they made the path straight. Even though they didn't talk about how they didn't talk much about sustainability and how you're going to
Right.
undo some of these challenges, but they were able to at least do, let's say, one of three of the things they expect to do.
Exactly.
Which is not bad, because most
Exactly.
people find it challenging, get information of how they need to, get here, especially people come here for
Yes.
undergrad and
Yes.
grad. Yeah, there are a lot of information out there, but undergrad, they one or maybe limited, but yeah. Great. So I want us to delve into your journey in school in Drexel. Like, tell us, like, what's your journey like? I was still going to delve deep into it, but if you can go to high level, like from the presently now to then, looking back 2-3 years back, what would you say your journey has been, the growth, how you've involved
Yeah.
over time?
Yeah, oh, that's a big question, but I'll try to just summarize. So I think I'll start off with like the beginning, which is like my freshman year, right? So I would say, just being in a different country, being an international student, I think I just had like an idea, but I really wasn't like ready for what to expect and like the
Okay.
reality, right? So one thing I would say was well, the most obvious thing was just like the whole loneliness thing, not having family around you. I think no matter how independent you are, okay, I'm not speaking for everyone, but for most people at least, like no matter how independent you are, there's still you still feel a certain way when you're not around your family or like your friends or people
Yeah.
that you grew up with, right? Like it sometimes it just really hits, especially during holidays. Like it hits differently.
I agree
So
with
yeah, I
you.
would say so that one thing. I think also just not I think another thing I really struggled with my freshman year was like not really feeling at home.
Mm.
So it's like and but I think one thing I learned with that was to try to find home in people, right? So
Yeah.
I tried to like take away that like the definition of home. Like I try to not associate it anymore with a place, but rather where I am or the people around me. So I
Yeah.
think I've been able to just find like family and home in other people as well. Something else I would just say is like just how different the culture is, different the educational system as well. So for example, I was taking calculus in my first year, sorry, in my last year of high school. I did so well. I got an A. I came to the US. I took calculus again, and I got like a B plus. Right. So
Yeah.
I could definitely say that I struggled with that class because the instructor I had back in high school was very different from this one. Right. So I guess one thing I did had to learn was here in the US. Well, not for all classes, but let me just speak for this calculus class I took.
Yeah.
It was very problem solving heavy. So it wasn't just oh what is 2 plus 2, but it was more like they put in a story and you had to decode
Oh, dude.
that for yourself, right? So it was like okay, I guess this is not how it used to
Me.
like I can't apply the same method I used to use before in
Yeah.
high school. And I think something else I would say is like just how different the culture is. The food, I really miss my authentic pounded yam, agbalumo, pomo. Like, I think I really, really miss the food as well. So that was like I would say that was like my first year. It was just really trying to figure out like where
Yeah.
am I, right?
Yes. Acclimatize.
Like
Yeah.
what am I doing? Yeah, what am I doing here in college? Like one thing people always told me was to focus, right? Focus.
Yeah.
That was like the one advice I got like from everybody. Focus, focus, focus. And I think many people were focusing on grades mostly. But again, knowing that when I was coming to college, my if you ask me like okay, what is your dream or what is your vision? It was to have a holistic and a wholesome college experience. I think
Yeah.
sometimes people put too much emphasis on grades. And not to say grades are not important, they are. However, for me, I didn't want to just leave Drexel with a diploma or a degree.
Yeah.
I wanted to leave with relationships. I wanted to leave with opportunities, right? I wanted to leave really having impacted other people as well
Yeah.
alongside this degree. So
True.
for me, just keeping that in the back of my mind really helped me to see, okay, what do I need to change? So after my freshman year, things really, I guess like I guess you would say flip the switch. I flipped the switch in my sophomore year by really just putting myself out there. But again, I would say it didn't happen. It wasn't like, oh, okay, first day of sophomore year, like, there's this new person. No, no, no. Like I said, even after I went to that event, I was speaking about, which I think it was like maybe the first week of school. I struggled to still make that first post on LinkedIn, right? But I think for me, it was that having remembered having like thought about what my freshman year was like, I just didn't want my sophomore year to be a repeat of that.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I knew that I had to do things differently, right? So it was not easy, it was uncomfortable, but I still was doing it anyway. So even if it was not easy for me to like network or like talk to people or like start conversations, I just had to take it one step at a time, one conversation at a time, learn from other people as well. So that was like so sophomore year I would say I would describe it as the year that I explored almost anything and everything. Sophomore year I was
The
taking
good
my
and the
classes
bad,
like,
right?
honestly, I was exploring just especially like career wise. I was just doing everything. I was taking speaking engagements. I was again
You
taking
stretched
classes as well.
yourself.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that's the word, stretched myself. I even when it comes to programs, I didn't just limit myself to tech, conferences or programs. I was in consulting events. I was in social innovation
Yeah.
events, and I honestly the people I have met through those events are people I still talk to today, right? So I
Wow.
think my sophomore year I was like, okay, yes, I'm in tech and yes, I'm in cyber, but that shouldn't be all I should know about, right? As a college student.
Yeah.
So anything that seemed interesting, I applied for it. The worst I could get is a no. And I'll talk more about applications later on because as easy as it sounds, it wasn't really that easy for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, and then so now going into my junior year, I think I'm just really looking at how can I make the last 2 years of college like the best ever. So but yeah, that's how I would describe it. It's been a roller coaster.
Yeah.
But I would say my first year was my hardest year.
Yeah.
And that was like the year that I really had to learn a lot. And then I think one question you asked in terms of growth as well, I can say I've definitely grown as a person.
Yeah.
When it comes to now, when I talk to people, I tell people that I used to be shy. They find it so hard to believe because apparently I don't seem shy. But I think I think deep down, like maybe it's still there, but it's something I'm still working on. Like I said, it's a work in progress, right? So
Yeah.
really just learning that I, especially as an international student, you have to advocate for yourself. Like
Yes.
everything, the whole system is trying to make you feel like you're less than, you're not deserving of something. So it's really up to you to say, hey, I got into the school for a reason. They saw something valuable in me, and I'm going to make the most of my education as well, not just getting this degree but other things as well. So for that reason, like, it's really important for you to say, okay, how do I stand up for myself all the time, even when I don't feel like it?